You've been praying for it. You've been waiting for it. Some of you have been crying in the midnight hours, saying, God, I can't take another step until something changes. And here's the truth. What you're desperate for is not just relief, it's a breakthrough. The kind of shift that takes you from where you are to where you were meant to be. But listen to me, your breakthrough doesn't start out there, it starts in here. Let me ask you a question. What if the wall you keep running into isn't proof that you're finished, but proof that something is about to break loose? Some of you came into this message tired, discouraged, worn out by life. But I promise you, if you lean in, if you don't check out halfway, you're going to leave this moment with a new perspective, because the breakthrough you need is closer than you think. See, we imagine breakthroughs as explosions, loud, obvious, dramatic. But most of the time, breakthroughs are born in silence. They show up in that quiet decision to forgive when bitterness feels easier. They show up in the moment you choose to stand up after being knocked down. They show up in the discipline of taking one more step when quitting looks more attractive. The walls of Jericho didn't fall on day one. They didn't fall on day two, but every lap mattered. Every step counted. Every shout was stored up until the moment God said, now. And here's the part you need to hear. Sometimes God allows the wall to stay standing just long enough to show you that your faith was stronger than you thought. Because if it broke down the first time you prayed, you wouldn't know how much perseverance He placed in you. If it collapsed the first time you pushed, you wouldn't know how much grit and grace He's been building inside of you. But there's another side to this. You can't step into your breakthrough while still clinging to your breakdown. Some of us are praying for God to open new doors while we refuse to close the old ones. You keep rehearsing the pain, you keep replaying the failure, you keep reliving the disappointment, but breakthrough doesn't come to people who are chained to yesterday. It comes to people who are willing to release yesterday so they can receive tomorrow. So hear me, the breakthrough you need is not on delay. It's not lost in the mail. It's not waiting for some perfect set of conditions. It's already within your reach. God has placed the strength, the courage, the resilience, and the faith you need inside of you. The only question is, are you willing to step into it? Stay with me, because before this message is over, I believe some of you are going to stop seeing yourself as stuck and start seeing yourself as standing on the edge of the breakthrough you've been waiting for. Don't just watch this like another talk, receive it like a word tailor, made for you, because the wall is coming down, the chains are breaking, and the breakthrough you need starts now. Your breakthrough starts with a shift in perspective. And I know, when you hear that, something inside of you says, I don't need perspective, I need change, I need money in the bank, I need healing in my body, I need restoration in my family, I need a door to open. And all of that is real, but let me challenge you with this truth. You will never see what God has placed before you if you don't first learn to see differently. Breakthrough is not simply what happens around you. It's what happens inside of you that allows you to walk through what's in front of you. Think about it. Two people can look at the same situation, and one calls it the end, while the other calls it the beginning. One sees a problem, the other sees an opportunity. One feels buried, the other realizes they've been planted. The only difference is perspective. The Israelites saw the Red Sea and thought, we're trapped. Moses looked at the same sea and thought, God is about to make a way. The walls of Jericho looked impossible to everyone else, but Joshua saw them as a stage for God's power. Your breakthrough begins the moment your vision shifts. Some of you are waiting for the situation to change, but God is waiting for you to change how you see the situation. Because if He changes it while you're still looking at it the wrong way, you won't even recognize it as a breakthrough. You'll call it luck. You'll call it coincidence. You'll call it finally. But when your perspective shifts, you'll call it what it really is, miracle. Let me press in deeper. The enemy doesn't always attack you by destroying things around you. Sometimes the greatest attack is when he distorts how you see them. He magnifies the problem and minimizes the promise. He makes the wall look bigger than your faith. He convinces you that what you're facing is permanent when it's only temporary. But if you can shift your perspective, if you can start declaring, this isn't the end, it's preparation. This isn't punishment, it's positioning. This isn't a setback, it's a setup. Then you begin to unlock the power of breakthrough before a single thing changes. Perspective is the breeding ground of breakthrough. If you see yourself as stuck, you'll act stuck. If you see yourself as defeated, you'll walk defeated. But if you start seeing yourself the way God sees you, more than a conqueror, chosen, equipped, unstoppable, you will begin to act like it. And the moment you start acting like it, the atmosphere begins to shift around you. Your breakthrough doesn't begin when the wall falls. It begins the moment you realize the wall isn't bigger than the God who is with you. It begins when you stop asking, "Why me?" and start saying, "Try me." It begins when you take your eyes off what you've lost and put them on what God is about to release. So don't wait for the circumstances to change before you shift. Shift now, see differently now, because the breakthrough you need is not out there somewhere. It starts with the way you choose to see where you are right now. Breakthroughs often come in hidden, ordinary moments. And that's where so many of us miss them. We expect the sky to split open, the earth to shake, fireworks to go off in the heavens as a sign that God has finally moved. But more often than not, the greatest breakthroughs are disguised as the smallest steps of obedience. We keep waiting for the dramatic, while God hides the miraculous in the mundane. Think about David. When his breakthrough came, it wasn't while he was holding a sword in battle. It was while he was delivering bread and cheese to his brothers. Something so ordinary, so small, so overlooked. That's the moment that positioned him to face Goliath. What looked like an errand turned into an elevation, and it's the same with you. Don't despise the day of small beginnings. Don't overlook the moments that seem routine, because your breakthrough isn't always wrapped in something spectacular, it's hidden in what seems insignificant. We love to pray big prayers, but we don't always honor the little instruction. We want God to move the mountain, but He tells us to move in faith with a mustard seed. We want Him to part the Red Sea, but He tells us to stretch out our staff. We want resurrection power, but He tells us to roll away the stone. And the question is, are you willing to do the ordinary so that God can release the extraordinary? Some of you are missing your breakthrough because it doesn't look like what you imagined. You thought it would be a new job, but God gave you a new mindset. You thought it would be a door flung wide open, but He gave you the discipline to keep knocking. You thought it would be instant deliverance, but He gave you the strength to endure. And if you're not careful, you'll walk right past the very thing that's carrying your breakthrough because it came dressed in overalls instead of glory. God often plants miracles inside moments that look like nothing. A conversation you almost didn't have, a prayer you almost didn't pray, a step you almost didn't take. These become the turning points that shift the trajectory of your life. The ordinary becomes the birthplace of the extraordinary. That's how God works, and maybe that's why some of you feel like nothing is happening right now. Maybe you feel like your days are repetitive, unnoticed, insignificant. But hear me, hidden in this season of ordinary is the seed of the breakthrough you've been praying for. What you're calling wasted time might be the training ground for the moment when God says, now, every act of faith, no matter how small, is building toward the release of something greater. So stop waiting for the perfect moment, stop searching for the spectacular, and start paying attention to the small. The hug you give your child, the apology you finally make, the decision to wake up and pray when no one else sees. The simple act of showing up when you feel like giving up. These are not just ordinary actions. They are the hidden hinges on which the door of your breakthrough swings open. Your breakthrough may not come with fanfare, but it will come. And when it does, you'll look back and realize it was hidden in the small steps you chose to take all along. Breakthrough is not always instant, it's a process. And that's where most of us struggle, because we live in a culture that worships the immediate. We want one prayer to fix it, one conversation to heal it, one opportunity to change it. But real breakthroughs rarely happen in a single moment. They unfold step by step, season by season, lap by lap. And if you're not careful, you'll mistake the process for failure, when in reality, the process is the very thing preparing you to handle the promise. Look at the walls of Jericho. God promised Joshua victory, but the walls didn't fall on day 1. They didn't fall on day 2. They didn't even budge after 6 days of walking. Imagine the soldiers on that 5th lap of the 6th day thinking, "What's the point of this? We've been circling these walls, and nothing has changed." But what they couldn't see was that every step of obedience was stacking up strength. Every lap of persistence was storing up momentum. Every shout of faith was being reserved for the exact moment God had appointed. The breakthrough wasn't denied, it was developing, and that's what some of you need to understand. Just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it won't happen. Delay does not equal denial. Waiting doesn't mean wasted. The process doesn't prove that God forgot you. It proves that God is forming you. He's teaching you endurance. He's growing your trust. He's refining your faith. Because if He gave you the breakthrough before you were ready, it wouldn't bless you. It would break you. Think about it. Sometimes the blessing you're praying for could crush you if it arrived too soon. You're asking for promotion, but God is building patience. You're asking for restoration, but God is strengthening your character. You're asking for expansion, but God is teaching you how to handle what you already have. Breakthrough is not about speed, it's about strength, and strength is forged in the process, not in the instant. This is why it feels like you keep hitting the same wall, facing the same test, fighting the same battle. It's not because God is ignoring you, it's because He is equipping you. He's making sure that when the wall finally does fall, you'll know how to walk into the promise without crumbling under its weight. The process isn't punishment, it's preparation. So don't despise the days of repetition. Don't resent the seasons of waiting. Don't curse the nights when nothing seems to change, because what looks like nothing is actually everything. Every prayer is stacking, every tear is watering, every step is building. And just because you don't see movement doesn't mean God isn't making progress. Your breakthrough is closer than you think, but it may not come in the flash of a moment. It may come in the faith to keep walking, keep trusting, keep pressing even when nothing looks different. Because when it does happen, you'll realize that the process wasn't a delay at all. It was the very path that led you to the breakthrough you've been waiting for. You can't receive a breakthrough while still clinging to your breakdown. And this is where many of us get stuck. We're asking God for new doors to open, but our hands are still holding tightly to the old ones. We're praying for fresh opportunities, but we haven't let go of the bitterness, the disappointment, the pain of what happened before. The truth is, breakthrough and breakdown can't occupy the same space in your heart. At some point, you have to release what broke you in order to embrace what's about to build you. Think about it. If the Israelites had stayed in Egypt mentally, even after leaving physically, they never would have entered the promised land. Their bodies were free, but their minds were still chained to the memory of Pharaoh. And that's what happens to so many of us. We step into a new season, but we drag the weight of the old one along with us. We hold on to the betrayal, the rejection, the failure, and we wonder why we don't feel the fullness of breakthrough. It's because you can't step into tomorrow while you're still living in yesterday. Sometimes the hardest part of breakthrough isn't breaking out, it's letting go of the need to control how it happened. Letting go of the version of yourself that got hurt, letting go of the apology you never received, letting go of the dream that died. It doesn't mean it wasn't real, it doesn't mean it didn't matter, it means it no longer defines you. If you keep rehearsing the breakdown, you'll keep reliving it. And the more you relive it, the harder it becomes to receive the new thing God is trying to bring. Here's the powerful truth. What you release creates the space for what God wants to release. As long as your arms are full of the past, you have no room to catch the future. As long as your heart is cluttered with unforgiveness, there's no space for peace. As long as your mind is occupied with regret, there's no capacity for vision. Breakthrough requires empty hands and an open heart, and I know letting go isn't easy. Pain has a way of making itself feel permanent, but just because something broke you doesn't mean it has to bind you. Just because you went through a breakdown doesn't mean you're disqualified from a breakthrough. God can take the very pieces of what shattered you and use them as the foundation for what's next. But you've got to stop clutching the ashes if you want Him to place beauty in your hands. So let me ask you, what are you still holding on to that's blocking your breakthrough? Who do you need to forgive so you can be free? What past failure do you need to release so you can run without chains? Until you answer that, you'll feel stuck, not because the breakthrough isn't available, but because your grip on the breakdown is too tight. Your breakthrough doesn't start with God dropping something new into your life. It starts with you letting go of what no longer serves your future. Release it, lay it down, because only then will your hands be open wide enough to receive the breakthrough He has already prepared for you. The breakthrough you need is not waiting for some distant moment. It's waiting for your decision right now. It's not locked behind walls too high or hidden in places too far. It's right here, right where you are, waiting for you to see differently, to endure the process, to release the past, and to embrace the small steps of faith that open the door to the extraordinary. Don't let discouragement rob you of what God has already placed within reach. Don't let yesterday's breakdowns keep you from today's breakthrough. This is your moment. This is your time. The wall is coming down. The chains are breaking. The weight is lifting. You are stepping into the life, the freedom, the calling that has been waiting for you all along. Your breakthrough is not just possible. It is inevitable when you choose to believe, to move, and to trust that God is already making a way. Do you want me to also create 8 powerful image prompts like I did for your other speeches to visually capture the theme of the breakthrough you need?